What's up, YouTubes? So I'm fast approaching 10,000 subscribers. Thank you all if you've subscribed. So I decided maybe I'll tell a little bit about myself, give a little bit about my personal story for whoever that interests. So I'm an only child. I was born in Houston, Texas to an autistic German Texan father and a Chinese mother who left China during the Cultural Revolution. And then at some point I moved to the Rio Grande Valley, which is the southern border of Texas, and that's where I grew up. So my background, it's not a common background at all. A lot of mixed race people might be able to relate though. And being mixed race, for me, in a way, it means you basically don't really have a culture. Or you have a mix of both cultures, but that means you'll never fully be in one culture. I was brought up by my German Texan family, so I had a little bit of that German Texan culture, but there were times when I felt like an outsider. There's a lot of German Texas families that were out of Houston, and there was a lot of church culture that was really prominent there. If you've been there, you'll know. But I never really felt like I got along with people in those churches. I just felt like I was not part of that culture. So growing up with my father was really difficult because of his autism, and my relationship with my mother was not the best either because of her anxiety. But I've been reading a little bit about China during the Cultural Revolution, and I think the anxiety comes a lot from that. So I have a theory. So I think a lot of the times the main conflict in your life, the war that you have within yourself, is determined by the central conflict of your parents. I can't really prove that that's the case with everyone, but I know it's true for my life. So my dad, because he's autistic, he was unemployed for a lot of my life. Either that or he worked some really bad jobs. And my mom was the one who supported us, and that really caused her a lot of stress and anxiety. And he was in the lab, not the literal lab, but the metaphysical lab, kind of like a mad scientist trying to find a solution to his joblessness. And my mom would be really stressed and upset at him. She was one of the hardest workers I've ever known, and she really impressed on me that money and practicality was really one of the most important things. And she had no time for art. There was no art or music in her life as far as I knew. She just worked all the time. I'll get to more on that later. So it was just all about grades for my life, getting a job, and she would put that kind of pressure on me my whole life. The problem was that I was a bit like my dad, that I was also a tinkerer. I could get into float state on things like art and music. I could get into the zone. I could get obsessed about things, and that was what I was obsessed with, art and music. So that was a conflict between my parents. I didn't want to drop the ball in my mom's eyes. I wanted to succeed where my dad didn't, but I had my dad's tendency to lose the script when I get obsessed with different things that had no value in my mom's eyes. She wasn't really supportive of me doing art or music as a career. She always gave me the impression that it would be difficult to make a career out of, which she's right in a lot of ways. So I should probably talk about her, and I'm going to talk about her in the next video, why she was the way she was. And so I was reading a little bit about communist China and the Cultural Revolution that really influenced her to be the way she is. So the next video I'm going to talk about her and her history.